He didn't run toward us when the carrier door opened. He just stayed pressed against the back wall, small and orange and completely still, as if moving might make someone change their mind. I crouched down, held the door open, and waited. Nothing. Just two wide eyes staring back at me like he was bracing for the moment we'd close the door again and drive him back. His name was Milo, 14 months old, a small orange tabby with a white chin and eyes that seemed too big for his face. The shelter said he'd come in as a stray, thin and scared, and that in 5 months almost no one had stopped at his kennel twice. People walked past him for the kittens, for the louder cats pressing their paws against the bars. Milo just sat in the back and watched them go. The volunteer who carried him to the car said something I didn't understand until later. He's been picked before, twice. Both times he came back within a week. I asked why. She just shook her head. People give up fast when a cat doesn't act grateful right away. I didn't know what that meant yet. I found out fast. Inside the apartment, Milo didn't explore. He found the space under the bed and stayed there for 3 full days. I'd hear him shift at night, the quiet scrape of paws on hardwood, then silence again. I left food by the bed skirt. Some mornings it was gone, most mornings it wasn't. But it wasn't just fear. When I dropped a spoon in the kitchen, he vanished, gone before the sound finished ringing. When I raised my voice on a phone call, even a little, he wouldn't come out for hours. It was like he was watching for the exact moment things would turn, because somewhere along the way, they always had. By the second week, he'd started sleeping on top of the bed instead of underneath it, but only after I was asleep, only with the lights off. I'd wake and feel the small weight near my feet, and the second I moved, he'd freeze, not run, just freeze, like stillness was the only defense he had left. I stayed still too, breathing evenly until his breathing slowed to match mine. There's a particular patience rescue asks of you, one nobody prepares you for. It isn't about training, it's about proving, over and over in small, quiet ways, that nothing bad is coming. I stopped clapping to get his attention. I stopped calling his name loudly across the room. I started narrating my movements before I made them, so nothing would ever feel sudden again. If you've made it this far into the story, I think that says something about you, and I'd genuinely love for you to stick around for more of these. Hitting subscribe costs you nothing, but it means a lot more to me than you'd probably guess. Around the 5th week, something changed. I was sitting on the floor doing paperwork, not paying attention to him, when I felt something brush my elbow. I looked down, and Milo was standing there, close enough to touch, head tilted, watching my face like he was trying to read something in it. I didn't move. I just let my hand rest open on the floor, palm up, and waited. He looked at it for a long moment. Then he stepped forward and pressed his forehead against my fingers just once, before retreating a few feet away. It lasted maybe 2 seconds. It felt like an hour. That was the beginning. Not the end of his fear, but the beginning of him testing what was safe to want. Over the next few weeks, he came closer more often, sitting nearby while I worked instead of hiding, first at a distance, then curled against my leg, as if proximity itself had become its own kind of comfort. He started doing something odd, something I'd never seen a cat do before. When he wanted attention, instead of meowing or pawing at me, he'd sit upright on his back legs, front paws tucked against his chest, and just look at me, still, patient, waiting to be noticed rather than demanding it. The first time he did it, I actually laughed out loud because it looked exactly like someone raising a hand in class, too polite to interrupt but too eager to stay quiet. It became his signature. Whenever something excited him, whenever he wanted my eyes on him, he'd rise up like that and hold perfectly still until I looked over. By the 3rd month, the cat who once vanished at the sound of a dropped spoon was falling asleep in patches of sunlight in the middle of the living room floor, completely exposed. He'd roll onto his back, paws in the air, belly open to the world, in a way that felt almost defiant given where he'd started. I'd sit near him just to watch him breathe like that, slow and even, and think about how much trust that kind of stillness requires from an animal that spent over a year learning the opposite.
He let me touch his face for the first time around then too. Not a quick pet and retreat, but an actual lean into my palm. Eyes closing halfway, a low, rough purr starting somewhere in his chest like it had been rusted shut and was only just remembering how to work. I sat there with my hand against his cheek for a long time, not moving, not wanting to be the one to end it. What I didn't expect was how much he'd changed the rhythm of my own days. I work long hours from home, and before Milo, the apartment had a particular kind of silence to it, the kind that isn't peaceful so much as empty. Now there was always a small, warm presence somewhere nearby, watching, waiting, occasionally rising up on his back legs just to remind me he was there. I hadn't realized how much I'd needed something to look forward to coming home until I had it. One evening, months in, I sat on the couch and he climbed up unprompted, walked in a slow circle and settled directly against my side with his chin resting on my leg. He let out one long breath, the kind that seems to release something much bigger than air, and stayed there until I finally had to move. It struck me then that this cat, who once refused to leave the back wall of a crate, had chosen, entirely on his own, to be close to me. Nobody forced that. Nobody coaxed it out of him with treats or tricks. He simply decided, in his own time, on his own terms, that this was somewhere he wanted to stay. I think about the shelter sometimes, about how many people walked past his kennel without a second glance, how twice before he'd been chosen and then returned within a week because he didn't perform gratitude fast enough for someone's liking. He didn't know, not for a long time, that this time was different. He didn't know that no one was going to open the door and take him back. He just knew fear and stillness and the long habit of waiting for the worst. He didn't know someone would ever choose him and mean it. But somewhere between the spoon that no longer made him vanish and the small forehead press against my hand, he started to learn it anyway. Not all at once, not because I did anything remarkable, just because I stayed, until staying became something he could finally believe in. If this story reached something in you, share it with someone who needs a reminder today. And if you're thinking about bringing a rescue animal home, remember they don't always arrive ready to trust you. Sometimes they arrive already convinced they'll be given back. Be patient, be quiet, be the kind of steady that doesn't ask for anything in return, and eventually most of them learn to believe you. So tell me, do you think animals like Milo ever fully let go of that fear, or does some part of it always stay with them, just quieter? I'd really love to hear what you think in the comments below.